It's getting bad that Jacobs left for America last night.
They're silly. We're safe here in Germany. Hitler is all talk. Germany is civilized, rational. People won't let things get that far.
In retrospect, it's easy to see that they should have left earlier. Before the Reichstag fire, before Kristallnacht, before the ship, the St. Louis, was barred from entering U.S. waters in 1939, before Hitler closed the borders to them in 1941, from dismissive conversations to swallowing your valuables and just leaving. Things escalated fast. The question isn't if it can happen here. It's whether it already is, whether the signs we're seeing are the beginning of something darker or the final warnings before it's too late to act. Welcome to our third episode of Democracy in Crisis. In episode 1, we discussed ideology. In episode 2, we asked if America cared anymore. Today, we ask, when do we know if it's time to go? Trump's recent deployment of troops to Los Angeles without state approval was a test of public response and of how far he can push the line. America is not Weimar Germany, but the question isn't sameness, it's similarity. Patterns repeat, not identities. History rhymes, it doesn't clone. Germany, in the early 1930s, wasn't yet a fascist state. It was a crumbling democracy. The warning signs were clear to some. Targeted violence, scapegoating of minorities, the burning of books, and the erosion of the rule of law. Then came the Reichstag fire. It gave Hitler the excuse he needed to declare a national emergency, suspend civil liberties, and begin total control all under the guise of protecting the Republic. Those who fled early intellectuals, Jews, artists, read the signs, Einstein, Arendt, the Mann family, but many more stayed, convinced the worst wouldn't happen. They were wrong. The floodgates closed, borders sealed, dissent criminalized. By the time many wanted to leave, they couldn't. In America today, the echoes are growing louder. The targeting of immigrants, the scapegoating of journalists, the spread of disinformation through AI, the weaponization of fear. Public trust is collapsing. Democratic norms are under siege. The machinery of state is being hollowed out, replaced by loyalists and algorithms. Families are fleeing red states. Doctors are leaving public health. Teachers resigning en masse. Trans people packing up entire lives to escape hostile laws. It's not theory, it's now. America's threat isn't from a coup. It's from legality. The slow twist of democratic tools into authoritarian levers. Voting rights eroded. Dissent criminalized, federal powers expanded. One of the darkest tools at a president's disposal is the Insurrection Act of 1807. It allows the use of federal military inside the U.S. without a governor's consent. If Trump or any future leader declares a state of insurrection, here's what happens. Military is deployed to U.S. cities. Protests are labeled rebellions. Mass arrests follow. Curfews, martial policing. The courts, if loyal to him, refuse to block it. It's a script we've seen before. Germany, 1933. Order from chaos, control from fear. This isn't a call to flee. It's a call to prepare to recognize that freedom must be guarded, not assumed. Too late is not theoretical. It's historical. Once fascism cements its grip, options vanish quickly. Borders close, the press dies, protests disappear. The window to leave or resist isn't infinite. It narrows by the day. But all is not lost. There's time. The future is not yet written. Organize locally. Defend state institutions. Educate. Resist peacefully but relentlessly. You are not powerless unless you choose to be. If you're unsure what to do, start local. Join a library board. Volunteer for voter registration. Know your state laws. One quiet act of courage can change the course of history, or at least hold the line. Thank you for joining us on The Renaissance Spirit. This channel is devoted to awakening minds, confronting injustice, and reimagining our shared future through the lens of history, philosophy, and humanity. Frankly, I detest Trump for making us worry about issues like this, but here we are. Am I considering moving? Absolutely. Two things are clear to me. We have a duty and obligation to do what we can to mitigate the worst of what's happening in America right now, but the truth is, it might not be enough. For those who speak out, there is a price we may need to pay for our voice. Of course, the cost of our silence may be far greater. Trump's illegal and unconstitutional acts in Los Angeles makes his motives clear. He's creating a system where people feel compelled to protest, and he can use that as an excuse to limit our rights. That being said, I'm sure you've heard the story of people already leaving. Some are unfairly judged for leaving, but there comes a time when leaving may be the only reasonable choice left. Let's hope that time doesn't come too late. Noted philosopher, advocate, and author of The Origins of Totalitarianism, Hannah Arendt faced that same decision. Born in 1906 Germany, she left in 1933 to Paris, working to help other Jews. But the Nazis followed, and she finally escaped to America in 1941. You may not have heard of her, but you certainly wouldn't had she not made it out. Here's a name you'll be familiar with: Albert Einstein, who left Germany in 1932. Not only did leaving almost certainly saved his life, but the world would be worse off without his contributions post-escape. Jewish history doesn't just teach survival. It teaches when to move, when to speak, when to build new futures. Their flight wasn't cowardice. It was courage in the face of creeping catastrophe. It's important to remember their continued plight, as well as their example for any other marginalized group or outspoken critic of the regime. That's what the Renaissance spirit tries to teach. We believe history is not just what came before, it is what informs what comes next. The Renaissance was an age of renewal. So too must we renew our commitment to truth, justice, and care. Will future generations remember us as defenders of democracy or as bystanders to its fall? Live the Renaissance spirit. Subscribe, share, take our quiz, and above all stay awake, because history has not died, only our understanding of it.